Hi everyone, I hope everybody's doing okay today. So welcome to my live video. We'll be talking about R5 system today, and we are going to talk about, it's like more a free talk. We're not going to go pixel peeping or image comparison or stuff like that, or menu and things like that. We were mostly going to talk about why, for example, do I switch from DSLR to mirrorless cameras, or what accessory do I use, what my thoughts about the R5, and what's cons and pros about this system, and cons and pros about the accessories for that system, and stuff like that. Because I think most YouTube bloggers covered all of the excessive things about the cameras and menus and stuff like that, and I don't know, pixel, picture quality or video quality. We're talking about it's more like an open talk. It's more like a mix of what is in my bag and why do I like that and what do I like about this particular system. So let's start with the obvious question. Why do I choose from, why do I switch from DSLR to mirrorless cameras, and particularly on R5? Why not other system like R or R6 or any other system? So it's actually a number of factors, which I have all of them here. They are small, some somebody said that a little bit, I have to speak a little bit more louder. So I will try to do that. So it's actually more, it's a number of factors, some of the minor, some of the big ones, but mostly it's a big one, it's big factors. Let's start from first one, which is actually, it's a newer system. Mirrorless is a newer system compared to DSLR, and for that matter, Canon is make clear that the lenses, which is EF lenses, which is very good work with the DSLR and also with the mirrorless as well, they will be no longer producing them. They will be no longer there will be no longer new or exciting new lenses and stuff like that. So they make it very clear, and therefore they actually make their attention, switch their attention to RF lenses, which is mirrorless lenses. And if we, for example, wants to try in a bigger run in the future, want to try some unique and unexpected lenses which Canon will produce in the future. Let's say, for example, like 14 TSE, which is tilt shift lens, which is rumored to be released very, very soon by Canon. You actually have to buy a mirrorless camera. So that was my initial goal. If I want to try something new, if I want to switch to a newer, better lenses, and maybe switch and have a try to something very different, I will not be any longer be able to do that, because EF lenses will no longer be in production, and some of them already discontinued. So I thought, okay, that's the first step. That's the first reason why I have to choose to mirrorless cameras. The second one is obvious, which is 45 megapixels compared to 30 megapixels. When I say compared to 30 megapixels, I mean that I switched from 5D Mark IV, my DSLR, my beloved DSLR camera, and 5D Mark IV is featured only 30.4 megapixels, and 45, obviously better. We know about all this megapixels war, but still 45, when you can crop it, you can recomposition this, and it's bigger, bigger pixel count, and actually we just give you a better solution for cropping, better solution for recomposing, a better solution for a full 45 megapixel print. So that was my second major point. Why do I have to switch from my DSLR to, my 5D Mark IV, my DSLR, to a mirrorless camera, and especially on R5. Another one is a newer sensor, which is Digic X in R5 compared to Digic, I think it was 6 Plus in DSLR. 5D Mark IV, obviously sensor, better quality of pictures, and algorithm of, you know, doing all of those, you know, computing inside this tiny body. Zero, that's something new, probably not to R5 but the mirrorless as well. And the Zero is a kind of file system which is allow you to have a smaller, you know, lightweight files, but still to be able to take all advantages of RAW, which is actually pretty nice, which I use it right now. I use the Zero, so my files are a little bit less than to be expected at 45 megapixels. Another one, in-body stabilization. This tiny, you know, it's tiny, but still, this small camera have amazing body stabilization, amazing. I mean, of course, obviously, if you're talking about the, you know, like the holy grail of, you know, gimbal stabilization is not as good as that, but still is really amazing. I mean, compared to nothing in 5D Mark IV to image stabilization inside the camera on R5, this is, you know, beyond comparison, at least for me, obviously. Another factor which is really important for me, and was really important for me, it's all those 8K RAW, you know, 4K 150 FPS frame per second, 4K HQ mode and stuff like that. So all of this which was not available at 5D Mark IV, which is hugely beneficial for me. And you obviously say, okay, come on, Vadim, 8K, who needs 8K even now? Yes, but you're missing the great point. I think most of the YouTubers or bloggers, they're not, you know, not delivering the essence of 8K in a way that 8K right now, as in 100% 8K, is not actually needed. Yes, I am pretty sure it's not needed by 99% or 90% of the people. But if you use in 8K, if you shoot in 8K, you actually can reduce, or you actually have like 50% of more space to work with. You can recompose, you can use zooms, you can, you know, you can pan and zoom in, zoom out and stuff like that. So you actually can shoot in 8K, but output in 4K 1080p or any other resolution which you are you know, familiar with, which you are actually keen on, and still have those amazing ability to, you know, recompose and to have full 8K, or actually, you know, zoom into the parts of the picture or even move that. So that was my initial goal, not to shoot like an 8K and output an 8K all the time, but actually to use those systems, to use this this ability to shoot bigger, you know, in pixel size, and then recompose it later on. Or to have it, actually I am planning to use this system for a period of time, and I hope I will use it until the time where 8K will be a standard, will came, I don't know, 3, 5, 4 years, I don't know. And then I will be using that 8K to the full potential. Let's put the overheating stuff aside, because yes, I know about that problem. I know this is widely discussed, but as for my style of, you know, shooting, which is not always, you know, like 30 minutes or 1 hour interviews, stuff like that. Nobody will shoot interviews in 8K for now, at least for a few years. But for my style, 8K shooting, 20 minutes which I get from that, I don't know, 15, 20, 30 minutes which I get from that is more than enough. I'm not shooting, you know, all the movies, you know, like all the time in 8K and stuff, and you know, so for that reason I can live with that. I can put my camera down for, I don't know, 30 minutes, 40 minutes and shoot again and have 20 minutes more and stuff like that. So it's okay for me to shoot that in 8K, and the overheating is not much of an issue, because I thought about that as well, and I thought, oh my god, there will be a major issue, a major, you know, bump in the road, and I was so disappointed when I read about that. But when I used that for my recent short microfilm, which is Momentum, we have those kind of workflow which actually give us, ability to shoot in 8K without with no problem. Actually, we just downloading stuff when the camera is down, and there's the workflow which you actually can use to be okay with the 8K as of now with this particular camera, with overheating and stuff like that, and the bigger cards, which I will be talking about a little bit later. So the 8K, 4K, 120 FPS and stuff like that was a major, encouragement for me to change from my DSLR to mirrorless, and particularly for R5. No crop, full sensor shooting was also, a huge benefactor for me, and it was like absolutely mind-blowing compared to 5D Mark IV, when you have like crop 1.6 and which was, sometimes unusable, sometimes very useful because you can be closer to subject, but sometimes it was really unusable. Even if you put, like, for example, 11 to 24, at 11 you get only 16, and it was oh my god, I want to shoot all of this, but unfortunately I only be using like 16 and stuff like that. So it was bump in the road for me, and full sensor shooting in 8K RAW, it's amazing, and that's another reason for me to switch to R5, and particular, for mirrorless, in particular R5. C-Log 3, which came with the latest update 1.3.1 or 1.3.0, and was C-Log 3 compared to just the C-Log, which I installed for money for 5D, which is also crazy stuff, because it's almost like $1,000 in Russia, plus or minus. But again, it should came free or something. I don't know. 90D came with the C-Log free, and you have to put that on 5D. But anyway, beside make it that aside, C-Log 3 is better for color correction, is better to color handling, and I think better in many situations, make it more, I wouldn't say more flatter, but let's simplify that. It's going to be flatter, it's going to be much more easy to handle, much more workable in a color correction process. So C-Log 3 was like a final job when they released that for me to for them to persuade me for them, when I say for them it's Canon, to persuade me to go for mirrorless for R5. Flip screen. Guys, flip screen. I was dreaming about the flip screen. I don't know. Maybe it's a silly stuff to say. It's, oh my god, this guy is talking about flip screens as a major of this. But really, the flip screen is the things which I was looking forward to see in a pro and a semi-pro cameras for a long time. I was using 80D. I was using 70D cameras, Canon 70D and 80D, and they all features the flip screen, which is I really love. And I was thinking, oh my god, why my 5D Mark IV doesn't have it? Many situations, especially for my kind of shooting, which is architectural, cityscape and landscape photography, I was begging begging for flip screen. I was so amazed. I was so happy that they include that in a 5D, in a R5, because I was thinking many pros was like, oh, we're against it, we are not liking this flip screen. It's, the sounds of flip, it's flip flop, it's too much, and you can turn and, like easily broke when you're on a huge, rough location and stuff like that. But when they try to use that in a real rough location and nothing's happened to them, they was more persuaded. So they have more, I think they have more feedback to Canon, and Canon just release it to a much more pro systems, semi-pro as a R5, or even pro as a C3 and any other system. And I'm so glad they do that, because again, flip screen is in some way is a really amazing and lifesaver, I would say. Not lifesaver, of course, but something which is you're used to, and you can't live without this anymore. So that was my another thing which why I choose that. There is another few things which is minor. So for example, stuff like a touch and drag on a screen. You know, when you can put your eye into eye holder, viewfinder, and then you can use to eyepiece, sorry, and you can use the viewfinder for like a joystick on the computer and put those autofocus into the places, and use, instead of using the joystick here, which is only available for those dots, dedicated dots, you can use your fingers to just scroll here. I mean, for some, I found this because I was testing R5. I was testing R6 and R before, and I was fine in those systems. I find this just amazing. I was thinking, oh my god, this is what I wanna use for me for many occasions. So even usually I use a tripod and show the architectural and interior and exteriors, but even in interior stuff, like for example churches, which I use often for my lookup project, or staircase, which is dedicated to my world of staircase project, you often use with your eye finder, and using this as a joystick is I wouldn't say again a lifesaver, but it's really good. I mean, I missed that when I switched back to, after testing, switched back to 5D Mark IV. Another thing is, for example, newer firmware updates. When the 5D Mark IV doesn't have any kind of featuring new firmware update for years, and 5D R5 have just 3 updates, and one of them was just major, introducing like IPB light, all light systems, and are again C-Log 3, which it's amazing. They put so many thoughts and so many new features into the firmware updates, because again they no longer support the DSLR system. So switching to a newer system, you are almost guarantee have a newer updates, which will bring newer features, which is again beneficial when you're using an old, reliable but still old, with no features anymore, because they're not interested in that in that system. So those one. The Bluetooth I really like, because I can use this software, this tiny stuff, which is I will be talking about later in accessory part, but again I could not use in 5D Mark IV. I always fiddle with intervalometers or button release and all the cables and stuff like that. Of course you can use your phone as a viewfinder, as a actual release, but the thing is your phone will drain your battery so much, so sometimes it's almost unreliable. So for that, Bluetooth, which have lower power capacity, and those accessories are just amazing, which I cannot use on 5D Mark IV. What else? Switching info display. Yeah, that's very useful for me when you are actually turning your camera vertically or horizontally. You're in display in the viewfinder in an eyepiece. You can actually see the information on the button as well. So it's switching from horizontal to vertical. I wouldn't say very useful, but very nice to have. Again, those small details just just persuade me more and more to get deeper into a newer system, and to mirrorless, of course. What else? Newer battery, which obviously I can use in my DSLR as well, but they also very keen. I'm very keen on them, which is, I think it's the same. What's it called? Yeah, LPE6NH, which is actually have a little bit more power, more you can take more juice from those batteries. But again, all of this is I'm not even talking about a little bit lighter weight, a little bit more compact in that terms, but all of this has just persuaded me to switch from my DSLR to R5. I'm not talking about the price. Yeah, I know. The price is just unbelievably, astronomically, phenomenally expensive. I mean, at least for me. And I have to sell all my accessories, or trying to sell all my accessories for 5D Mark IV. But still, price aside, I still think the price is too much. I think, in a longer run they will be reduced, and then it will become much more, making much more sense, feature wise and the price wise. But still, it's a newer system, and I totally understand the price. At least I persuade myself to totally understand the price. But still, that's what makes me choose this R5 compared to DSLR, and I am very, very happy with my choice. I'm very keen on my choice, and I hope I will use that for even longer period of time when I use my 5D Mark IV, because I think this body, this R5 is having more features, long-run features, future features than 5D Mark IV when it first came, or at least when I came to buy 5D Mark IV. So another question is, why do you choose R5 instead of R or R6, which is also pretty good system? For me, coming from 5D Mark IV, R was really was not an option because of it's actually 5D Mark IV in a body and in a mirrorless world. So it wasn't reason for me to change that system. So R6, unfortunately to say, the price for R6 and the feature in the longer term, in the longer run, are not, they are not making sense to me. R6 is like, to be honest, I'm not even considering to this system. This system will outrun its features very quickly, especially with the 20 megapixels count, and lesser image stabilization, and lesser feature in that body. So for 5D Mark IV users, if you really want to switch to our mirrorless RF lenses world, and you have some RF lenses, you want some RF lenses which you desperately want, probably R is the best right now. Then if you don't have money for R5, then in maybe a year or year and a half you will have R5 especially after the R3 will be introduced to a market. The price for R5 will be a little, a bit less, and then you can afford that. But for now, R6, I would not recommend to switch to that particular system just to get your, your foot into the door of mirrorless. It's just switch to R. Just save some money, use what you have, wait until R5 is getting down in the price, and then switch to R5, because I think at that point R5 is much more better than anything else on the market, comparatively, relatively on the price. I'm not talking about other system like Canon, Nikon, Sony, or any Fuji or any stuff like that. I mean, I'm comparing only to Canon. If you're switching to one system of DSLR to a mirrorless in the Canon world, I'm talking about that. So R5 is the bomb, as to say, and probably will be in a few months or years run, because again, R3 will be way too expensive, even more way too expensive, even with the feature they will have. But still, this is my understanding. And it's coming from architectural, cityscape, and landscape photographer and videographer. So, occasional videographer, not, filmmaker all the time, but I mostly concentrate on aerial videography and filmmaking, but instead of ground filmmaking. But still, I do use that for a number of projects, and I think this particular body is actually in the long run, which I prefer to any other system by Canon for now, for that foreseeable future. So, talking about the switching, I want to talk about what do I have to sacrifice, what do I have to buy new in terms of accessory to make my life easier. And I want to talk about this right now. I want to talk about cons and pros about these accessories. So before even considering to buy, no, sorry, not considering, but even buying this R5 system, I went online, and I'm a big fan of any kind of L bracket, because I shoot vertically and horizontally. I want to switch, obviously very quickly to use that, and I don't want to switch my, put my ball heads on the side, losing some stuff. So if you ever ask me what accessory would you recommend to buy, cheap accessory which you recommend to buy and will change your life, L bracket is my answer to everybody. So I'm very keen on L bracket. And I know the limitation of some of the L brackets with the flipping screen. And I was having so much problem with all the L brackets, even from a bigger manufacturers like Really Right Stuff or Accessory and stuff like that. They all have this L bracket which have like, I don't know if you see that, they have like some small or sometimes big, gap here, so you can actually put your, flipping screen and then flip a little bit here. This was no way for me. I was looking for a completely different L bracket, which make me use my flip screen anytime at any position as I like. So I went online, and only one company, at least for now, I mean, you put in the comments if you find somebody else, but for now, only one company, which called Pro Media Gear from USA. Only those guys are featuring an amazing L bracket, which actually can give you access to a full flipping screen. So look, what they done is actually they protrude, is that a word? Yeah, extend the L bracket, you can see it here, this side. So everything from position of and actually access to all of the cables and inputs and outputs from here is nicely accessible. You can see I can touch them and go berserk with that, to a full flipping screen without touching anything on L bracket. They made this and it's a little bit heavy. Yeah, I can do that. It's a little bit heavy. They have a lot of screws and stuff like that. They have a cold shoe here. They have holes in here. They have holes in here. They can you can extend this here a little bit with the two rails and stuff, like metallic rails. All of this metallic, and it's a little bit heavy on the side. And I really wish they have like photographic version of this, because this is really amazing, but it's actually more for a videographer type of guys who put the like microphone or lights in here and have those extension here and an extension there. But for a person who, for example, I don't use any microphones or any lights because I shoot architecture even with the video. So for the person like me, I would really love to see if it's even lighter, because sometimes you see those screws which do nothing at all. I don't know what they're doing here. I can unscrew them. Those magnetic stuff, I don't really need those. Those for, those metallic ring here, I have no idea what it's for, and stuff like that. So to be honest, I would love to see photography based L brackets of those guys, version of those guys. But for now, you know, what we have is what we have. Again, this is Pro Media Gear PLX3T, the name of this L bracket, and it's perfect for actually for R5 and especially for flipping screen. Actually, it's perfect for, I think, for any flipping screen system, because again, you can have this. Another fantastic feature of that, I will be talking about about the negative stuff a little bit later, but for another perfect things is that you can actually use it as a handle, you can use it as an additional handle and grab your camera, so you don't really need those, you know, any extra, you know, wood, you know, beautifully looking but still expensive wood handles, and you can use it as a handle, so which is really really cool in a way of accidental feature, because again, it's protruded here on the side of the camera, so you can use it as a grip handle, so it's absolutely fantastic. So it's a double feature for that. What the negative things about this, which actually came from another accessory. So another accessory which I buy immediately after purchasing everything is this one, which is EF-RF adapter. But this is not usual adapter, this is with the drop-in filter. And I will explain to you why I did that and why not, for example, this one, which is I purchased from, it was lent me by Canon Russia, which is not, again, this is not the cheapest version, this one with the customizable ring, but there is an even cheaper version with that. So first of all, my thought was like that. So I have lenses for 17mm tilt shift, 11 to 24, and 24 to 105. This is my range of lenses, right? Okay, so my thought was, okay, I will be changing EF 24 to 105 to RF lenses, and then when another lenses, like for example tilt shift or maybe 11 to 24, there will come in RF lenses, I will change all my range, and I will be happy clapper, happy user for all RF lenses. But then I thought, okay, how long does it take Canon to produce 11 to 24? Nobody knows. How long does it take to Canon to produce 70mm or equivalent of 40mm? Yeah, maybe a year or something. 24 to 105, I see the comparison, and it's not huge a comparison. It's not like, oh my god, this is blow out, you know, blow away the 24 to 105 EF out of the water. And your RF is amazing lens, and you have to buy it. It's more like, okay, it's like maybe like 10-15% better or something, or even less. So I thought, why do I need then to change everything? You know, to sell one, to buy another, and RF lenses is very expensive. I already put, like almost sell my kidney to buy this kind of stuff. So what do I have to buy? Why do I have to buy? And then I saw this one. And I thought, oh my god, this is perfect. This is perfect because it's have a drop-in filter, which is variable filter, as you can see here. Let me just show you. You can see, wow, bam, bam. And it's actually perfect for all of my lenses. Imagine, two of my lenses have no filter system whatsoever because of, you see this, 70mm tilt shift, and you see this. I mean, I have to buy some huge and expensive, super expensive, lens holder, ND filter holder, and then ND filter, which is, bigger as the window in my house and stuff like that, and I have to carry them and I have to change them. And then this guys came. This is really, really clever solution. I mean, not ideal, it's not ideal, but super clever solution from Canon to get this one. And I really thought, okay, why do I need to lose money on switching now you know, and waits until the Canon came up with the RLF equivalent of all my lenses, then I can use this one, and I can use it in a way which I never used it before, because I don't have this ND filters on my lenses. So I bought that, and I highly recommend to buy this one. Yes, I'm still waiting for absolute clear ND filters second, you know, drop-in filter, which is just for you know, like for a clear picture without any stops, because now I probably have like one stop down, I think, even on the minimum amount. You can see that this, yeah, you see it's a little bit dark, but again, for now I can use that, or I can, you know, for any emergency cases, I can take it out for a few seconds or a few minutes and hope no dust will get into this. But for now, I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty okay with this system. I'm more than okay with this system. I can use my tilt shift with the long exposure, which I cannot done that before. So yeah, that's the second accessory I bought before I buy. Well, actually, after I buy the 5D Mark IV. But the problem with this accessory, and the first accessory which I was talking about, which is L bracket, is as you can see here, is an ability to actually switch it on. Yeah, that's a real bummer, and unfortunately there is no solution to do it any easier than just to, you know, take it out almost in, you know, almost full, take it out away and put the clear ND filters and switch it back and stuff like that. But at least you're not going to use it, you know, all the time, or switching it like 10 times a day. It's most like, you know, switch it once and switch it back to our ND, you know, variable ND filters, and you are shooting it through other way with the ND filters. And it's also very good on the videography as well, because the variable ND filter is very useful for that. It doesn't produce those, you know, kind of what they called, you know, square lines on the filters, which some various ND filters produce, but yeah, it's not as bad as it seems. Yes, it's quite expensive, but still, compared to, you know, selling on EF lenses and then switching to our RF lenses, it's not as bad. Yes, when there are RF lenses with some unique features, like again 14mm still shift, or I don't know, maybe it's like, I don't know, 10 to 35 or something like that, when the Canon will came up with this, I will purchase that and I will be using them as a full RF lenses. But for now, I stick with this accessory. Another accessory which I bought, it's this one, which I could not buy from for my 5D Mark IV, which is brilliant stuff, which is actually Bluetooth accessory, is it called BRE1? It's a Bluetooth shutter release, Bluetooth shutter release, and it's easy and it's inexpensive and it's so damn, you know, light, and you don't have to fiddle with any kind of you know, intervalometers and shutter release buttons and, you know, cables and stuff like that. So it's actually pretty good in terms of the range, and in terms of power, you know, power hungry. It's not as power hungry as it could be, and it's worked very fine. Because, for example, yesterday I was shooting 8K RAW for about 10 minutes, 4K to 120 FPS for about 5 minutes, which is almost like, you know, it's not much, but still. And then I shoot for about 1 hour and a half, five bracketed shots. It was about 500 shots. It was 300 to 500 shots for my project, which I shot in the city center of Moscow. And I only get from that battery, just one bar. which is amazing. And I was really surprised because I heard this battery is draining very fast, and I'm using those shutter release button with my R5, and there was no echo mode, and there was no switching. Everything was full, so it was pretty surprising. Maybe because it's a new, and in a few months it will be drained a little bit more, but still for now it's absolutely fantastic. Another thing which I bought as well, it's more doing with the videography, more doing with 8K RAW and 4K 120 FPS, is a CF Express card, which is way too expensive. I think it's a new technology, but still it's way too expensive. But I found, at least in Russia, at least of what I know of, is the cheapest CF Express cards on the market, which is compatible with R5, which is called Wise. You can see the name here, Wise, and it's CF Express 512 gigabytes, and it's 170 megabits per second, and the minimum is 1500, as you can see, 1550, which is just the lowest accessible points for 8K shooting. So this card, which is the cheapest from the one I saw everywhere, is actually capable of recording 8K RAW whenever minutes they are, 4K RAW, and it's pretty much useful card, and it's pretty much the card which working without any problem, compared to the company which I never heard of, Vice. I don't know, it's a Taiwanese company, but anyway, I am highly recommend to check out those Vice. But what I was told by people who sell this card, that they are only from 512, they are putting those speeds, which are acceptable for recording 8K RAW. From those 256, they have probably they will not work, or they will not work as advertised, and maybe that's what they told me. I mean, yeah, they could pull in my leg and just asking me to spend more money, but I believe that I wanted to have like 1 terabyte or 512 gigabytes anyway, so I thought, yeah, why not? And everything turned out to be much less expensive than any other cards on the market, especially Sony or anything like that. Then I bought this accessory, which is, let me show you, which is Delkin device, which is card reader. And you may ask, why do you buy a card reader, which is also very expensive? It's almost like 80 to 90 US dollars, and it's this one was the cheapest from all of them. Again, I'm a cheap guy, but anyway, why do we buy this one? What I learned is that, yeah, obviously you can use R5 to just as a card reader, and you can download your footages or images into the card and into the computer, but it's no problem, which I've done during my previous project. But what I learned is that with this card reader and this card, or any card of CF card, you can actually use it as almost as fast as SD drive. So you actually, with the Thunderbolt 3 or USB 3.1 or 3.2 cables and computer handler of accepting that, you can actually use it to basically do your editing or do your project, especially with the video on a card without any downloading anywhere on a computer. So that's what my thought, and that's why I bought this particular device. And what else do I have? Yeah, this is the small accessory which I bought for handling some of the shots with like something like that. But again, it's so minimum. It's so I'm not going to talk about so much about that, because again, if you're talking about videography, the stuff is, you know, could overblown with all the stabilization, all those, you know, on shoulder and stuff like that. But this was, you know, super cheap. It's from Ulanzi UU rig, which is really nice in terms of, you know, just put this in here, and because it's had stabilization, you can carry on and have a little bit more stable shots. But again, for the real videographer, this is just, you know, bare minimum. I think they, you know, they can talk about this much more in depth. And for me, it's just one accessory. But again, this what I have. This for what I have for now for all of my lenses. This is what I have for all of my, you know, accessories and all of, you know, kind of related to R5 stuff. There's cons and pros. For example, like image quality is amazing in R5. The video quality is fantastic. I highly recommend to switch to 4K HQ immediately, because 4K, anything in 4K so HQ is the best mode. Or if you're able to use 8K, just shoot 8K. You have more room to breathe, more room to, you know, recompose your images, more room to you know, to have a zoom in, zoom out, or panning, any panning animation, additional panning animation. C-Log 3, fantastic. Definitely use the C-Log 3 for any kind of post-processing correction work, which I found much, but I would say much, but better than C-Log, obviously better than C-Log in many cases. What else do we have? I wish the Canon, which I don't like, the things which I don't like about this camera in particular, I wish Canon have, you know, they give us IPB RAW, IPB light, all I light version, but they didn't give us 4K RAW version, which is really strange for me. I mean, I would love to have the 4K RAW version, maybe not HQ version in HQ mode, but just in a normal mode. 4K version will be fantastic. I don't know why they don't do, but I really hoping that maybe, you know, but maybe new firmware will adjust this, will address this issue. Maybe in a few months or maybe a year we will see 4K RAW. I'm pretty sure that this particular sensor, this particular camera can handle this. There's no problem. I think it's just a way of, you know, Canon to deliver that to us. No stabilization in 8K RAW. It's kind of a bummer for me. I didn't know about that. Nobody really talk about that. Maybe because nobody is shooting in 8K RAW. So that was a little bit of surprise. But again, not that much of a surprise. If you're shooting architecture, and you know, you can obviously use a, you know, gimbal system for that if you are really need to share to shoot 8K in RAW. But any other you know, modes and any other you know, 8K or 1080p or stuff like that, they all have a stabilization except 8K RAW. Some choices for ND filters, which I not agree with, because you know, I highly advise everybody to go for this L bracket, and then if you go for that, ND filter will be a little bit of an issue. I would love to have them here, but again, some of them will be complaining that they put something here, like again, like this stuff, or any accessories here, and it will be difficult to take off. I would prefer Canon think about lots of people and range of people, and especially, you know, considering all of the options. But for some reason, ND filter is on that side. With my setup, is not really, you know, that much of a quicker solution. Price. The price for this, again, I could not stress it even more. The price is too much, and I think it's a little bit too expensive. For my case, it's $600-700 too expensive even for those features. But what can we do? Another thing which is really surprised me, but I can't take this eyepiece off, which could be a bummer for, let's say you're using stabilization system which is nearly enough for this R5, and there's many of them, you know, on the market, especially with a huge, you know, front heavy lenses like this, for example. You have to, you know, back off so much, and you probably just, you know, a few millimeters away from, you know, swinging all the way, and you can't take this off. This is a little bit of, again, a bummer, but I think it's some do with the, you know, mirrorless RF system, oh sorry, mirrorless system, R system. So I think, but again, for someone will be a real bummer, because there's a lighter version of stabilization which could be used, but with this one it's kind of a difficult. I wish they have much more exciting design for the body of this camera, because really, I mean, it's nice, it's okay, but it's not looking as professional as, for example, other, because it is actually a super, I mean, it's semi-professional, but still, in my opinion, it could be used by any kind of a professional users and shooters, and many of them are using this, so it should be looks a little bit more professional. For example, R3 with those, you know, kind of what I call them, you know, fish skin design, really lovely, and it's really kind of new and fresh. And I thought R5 should be looking like that in terms of not just another mirrorless R system, but something new and exciting, especially when you're introducing 8K RAW into the world of, you know, cameras, handheld photo cameras. Something like a little bit more exciting, but again, it's just my preference. I've been doing design for many years, and I'm kind of keen of everything looking, you know, pretty and nice. But in that case, R5 is just a little bit too boring for me. But still, hey, who I am to complain? So those things, you know, accessories, cameras and stuff like that, those are my things in this open chat with you guys. I don't know if you agree with me or not. This video will be uploaded to YouTube and to my IGTV. Just give me a shout out, give me, you know, your reason why you might switch off to R5. What do you think about my reasons and your reasons in particular? If you have any questions, or let's say you disagree completely with some of my statements, or you find them some very useful, just give me a shout out. And again, thank you very much for this, you know, like a lightweight open talk about my thoughts of R5 from my perspective, and accessories on R5 from my perspective. And thank you so much, guys, and I hope you enjoy that. Talk to you soon. Bye.